Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're diving deep into the fascinating world of artificial intelligence. Now, AI is already powering so much of our digital lives, but it's easy to think of it like it's all the same. But the truth is there are tons of different ways AI actually and gets better at what it does, kind of like how learn. Today we'll explore the different types of learning methods that power AI systems, from the ones we interact with every day to the ones pushing the boundaries of what's possible. So, whether you're just getting started with AI or you're already familiar, stick around and let's break it all down. All right, first up, we've got supervised learning, which is kind of like teaching an AI with flashcards. Imagine you're showing a kid a bunch of pictures of cats and dogs and you're telling them which one is which. That's basically supervised learning. You're giving the AI labeled data, which means each input has a corresponding correct output. So with those cat and dog pictures, you're telling the AI, this is a cat, this is a dog, and it starts to learn the patterns that distinguish them. And just like that kid learning their animals, the AI model keeps comparing its predictions to those correct answers, adjusting itself until it gets really good at recognizing those cats and dogs on its own. This type of learning is used in things we use every day, like spam detection, where the AI learns to spot spam based on labeled examples. It's also used in handwriting recognition, where it learns to decipher your scribbles, and even in more complex stuff like medical diagnosis. Next up, we've got unsupervised learning. Now, this one's a bit more like giving the AI a giant puzzle with no picture on the box. It's got all these data points, but it doesn't know what they represent or what it's supposed to do with them. So instead of trying to predict specific outcomes, it's all about finding patterns and relationships in that data all on its own. Think of it like this: you walk into a party and you don't know anyone. You might start grouping people in your head based on how they're dressed, who they're talking to, that kind of thing. Unsupervised learning is similar. It might group customers based on their buying habits, even though no one told it. These are the different types of customers. This type of AI is super useful for things like recommendation systems, like those you might also like suggestions you see online, or anomaly detection, where it can spot those out of the ordinary transactions that could be fraudulent. Moving on to something totally different, reinforcement learning. This one's all about teaching AI to make decisions and learn from its experiences, kind of like training a dog with treats, but way more complex. Imagine you're teaching a robot to navigate a maze. Every time it makes the right turn, you give it a reward, and every time it hits a wall, it gets a little penalty. Over time, it learns to maximize those rewards and avoid those penalties, eventually figuring out the best path through the maze. That's the essence of reinforcement learning. Trial and error, but on a whole other level. This type of learning is behind some truly mind-blowing AI achievements, like AlphaGo, the program that beat the world champion at the incredibly complex game of Go. It's also powering advancements in autonomous driving, where the AI learns to navigate real-world roads and make split-second decisions. Now let's talk about semi-supervised learning. Think of this as a blend of supervised and unsupervised learning, kind of like having a teacher for part of the time, but also giving the AI some space to figure things out on its own. Why is this useful? Well, in the real world, labeled data can be expensive and time-consuming to get. So with semi-supervised learning, you can use a small amount of labeled data along with a much larger set of unlabeled data, and the AI can actually learn from both. Imagine you're training a facial recognition system. You might have a few labeled images of faces, but you can also use tons of unlabeled images from the internet. The AI can use those labeled images to get a basic understanding of facial features, and then use the unlabeled images to refine its understanding even further. Next, we have self-supervised learning, and this is where things get really interesting. This is like the AI equivalent of a self-taught prodigy. It's all about the AI learning without any explicit human labeling. How does it do this? Well, it creates its own learning tasks from the data itself. One common way is by masking or hiding parts of the data and then training the model to predict the missing parts. Think of it like those fill-in-the-blank exercises you did in school. The AI might, for example, try to predict missing words in a sentence, and in doing so, it starts to understand language and context. Finally, let's talk about transfer learning. This is like taking an AI that's already learned to do one thing really well and teaching it to apply that knowledge to a new but related task. Imagine you've got an AI that's been trained to recognize different types of animals. You could then use that same AI as a starting point for a model that recognizes different types of plants. It doesn't have to start from scratch. It can use the knowledge it's already gained about shapes, patterns, and features from the animal recognition task. This is super powerful because it means you don't need as much data to train the AI for the new task, which saves time and resources. Transfer learning is used in all sorts of cool applications, from image classification to language translation, and it's one of the reasons AI is advancing so rapidly. And that's a wrap on our exploration of the different types of learning in AI. As you can see, AI is constantly evolving and finding new ways to learn and solve problems. From supervised learning with its labeled data to self-supervised learning where AI teaches itself, each approach has its own strengths and is pushing the boundaries of what's possible. So whether it's powering our smartphones, diagnosing diseases, or even creating art, AI is already impacting our lives in countless ways. And as these learning methods continue to evolve, who knows what incredible advancements the future holds. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the different types of learning in AI. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more insightful content on AI, tech, and everything in between. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you don't miss any future uploads. We'll catch you in the next one.